Now we'll move to lesson 7 here in our training class, and this is the offside rule. Um, Pertains obviously to the U10 and older group because that's when we start calling offside is at the U10 level. Now offside is one of the shortest laws. If you get the laws of the game book, hopefully you will get that either through your region or through FIFA. Look it up online. The laws of the game. The offside law is law 11. And Law 11, I would encourage all of you to read it through in the Laws of the Game book. It's probably the shortest law in the game book, but causes among the most controversy. Controversy at every level of the game, from the U10, where it's first called, up through and including the World Cup. You know, what's offside? When is a player offside? What is an offside infraction? And we're going to go over all of that here, and we're going to also have some demonstrations, and we're also going to link to some FIFA related production on their website that shows or is meant to educate people as to what the offside rule entails. So let's get going. So offside, recall that we talked about safe, fair, and fun, and the offside law deals with the fair aspect of it, fairness. The purpose of the offside law is to ensure that players earn the right to shoot on the goal. No cherry picking. That's really what the offside rule is about. The offside law is the only law that restricts tactical positioning during dynamic play when play is ongoing. So the origin of offside means that if you're on, it's the opposite of being onside. If you're on your side, that means all of your players, or you, if you're onside, you are in back of the second to the last defender. Okay, that means you're onside. So if you're offside, that means you're in back of the second to last defender. And then we're going to go into what's the difference from being an offside position to what is an actual offside infraction, and we'll get into that as well. There are 3 elements to an offside infraction. Okay, the first is the position of the player. The player has to be in offside position for there to be an offside infraction. Okay, secondly is the time of judgment, and that time is at the time when a teammate kicks or otherwise plays the ball to you if you're the player that's in offside position. Okay, so time of judgment means at the time the ball is played to the player in offside position. And then 3 is active involvement in play, okay, by, and we'll get into this, gaining an advantage, basically. If you gain an advantage by being in offside position, then that's an offside infraction. So all 3 of these elements need to be present for there to be an offside infraction, okay? Just because a player is in offside position does not mean there's an offside infraction. And as such, you as the assistant referee, and the assistant is really the one who calls the offside because they're in the best position to see when the player is offside, okay? Just because a player is in offside position, you don't raise your flag indicating offside, okay? Because the other 2 have to be also present. The time of judgment, in other words, at the time the teammate kicks the ball, not an opponent, but a teammate has to kick the ball or head the ball or otherwise play the ball. And then the player who's in offside position has to be actively involved in the play by playing the ball, kicking the ball, or otherwise gaining an advantage by being in offside position. So let's talk a little bit more about what is offside position. Okay, a player is in offside position if he is in the opponent's half of the field. And you can tell that, obviously, if they're standing, which side of the center line they're standing on. if they're in the attacking side or the opponent's side, then that qualifies. Okay. Also, these are all ands. Closer to the opponent's goal line than at least two opponents. That's the second to last opponent, and this is the most common thing, the second to last opponent. The last opponent is usually the goalkeeper, okay? And the second to last opponent usually, not always, but usually is one of the defenders, okay? So you, as the assistant, need to position yourself always level with the second to last defender, okay? Because that's the person upon which you will determine whether or not an attacker is going to commit an offside infraction, okay? And then the third thing is closer to the opponent's goal line than the ball. So you got to be ahead of the ball in order to be judged to be offside. So in other words, if there's a breakaway, two players, and one kid's dribbling the ball, and they're ahead of their teammate, and the teammate's the trailer, and they pass to the teammate, and the teammate's in back of the ball, even though he's in back or she's in back of the second to last defender, there's still no offside infraction, okay, because you have to be ahead of the ball, okay? The ball has got to be behind you for there to be an offside infraction. And this last thing, all three elements must be present or the player is not in offside position, and therefore there's no offside infraction, okay? So that should be pretty evident from some of the demonstrations you're going to be seeing later on. So let's talk about being in offside position. If a player is in offside position, it almost literally means that he's off the team, okay? So that player that's in offside position is not at that point in time part of the team. Well, he's part of the team, but he cannot be involved in active play, okay? He cannot interfere with play or with any of the opposing players, and he cannot have any involvement in the match, okay? So if the ball is passed to him, as he is in offside position, he can't play the ball. He can't be actively involved with the play when he's in offside position, okay? Now, what he can do is run back and get back onside before his teammate plays the ball to him. That's okay. So you can be in offside position and then go back to being in an onside position, and then now you're back on the team, so to speak. You can play then. But while you're in offside position, you cannot have any involvement with the play, okay? Again, you'll see this a little bit more clearly in some of the demonstrations that we'll have here later on.